Welcome. You're back on time for Checkpoint. And the Electoral Commission this week rejected nomination rules submitted by dozens of parties because they supposedly violate the law, exposing how primaries are bungled and subsequently compromise the general election. IBC Chairman Wafula Chebukati confirmed 89 parties submitted nominations rules, but after a review, the Commission had found none of the political parties had fully complied with the requirements of the law. The Commission had communicated to the parties to revise their nomination rules and procedures pursuant to the Elections Act 2011 within 14 days. President Uhuru Kenyatta's Jubilee Party, Deputy President William Ruto's United Democratic Alliance, and Raila Odinga's Orange Democratic Movement are among those whose rules were found incapable of guaranteeing fair nominations. Plus, tonight, we're asking, is the bromance between President Uhuru Kenyatta and his deputy William Ruto redeemable? Well, one Mike Sonko, former governor of Nairobi, I should say, thinks there could be a sporting chance. Sonko and Bishop Donald Kisaka Mawasi have petitioned the court to force the Attorney General, Paul Kihara, to amend Uhuru and Ruto's broken relationship ahead of a general election. This and more we're discussing with our panelists here, of course, Gabriel Muduma and Ambrose Weda, to just give us an instant scoop of what has been happening, that and more on the political scene in the country, looking at the current state of play. You join us on the conversation. We shall be sampling some of your comments as well. Gentlemen, good evening.
Good evening.
Should I be welcoming? Yes.
Who should be welcoming you?
Yeah. And given that Ambrose is a pastor as well, I was just thinking, we've been in this field together for a long time, so we should say, Pamoja na wewe, Pamoja na wewe.
I knew you would think this.
Katika safari yangu tatembea na wewe.
You see?
Good voices.
Welcome back, Pastor, as well.
Fantastic. It's a churchy moment. It's on Sunday as well.
It is.
Okay, but let's just get now down to brass tacks and just discuss the current state of play of politics that we know with this particular development, especially with the IBC. We're talking about intra-party democracy, and we know next year we'll be having the primaries. Already people are having bugbears and fears on how this will pan out, especially with the nomination tickets. Lots of independent candidates we saw in the previous election. This is bound to also double, as they say. Let's just begin with you, Gabriel. On that particular note, are you happy with this particular development? This is going to sanitize sort of our inter-party democracy here in the country?
Well, Debal, thanks for having us this evening. First of all, I think, and I've had so many, I mean, this is something that will create a lot of talk. Yes. It will actually reset a lot of talk. And I think what Chebukati has done, I think he's seeing a silhouette. Every time he turns, I think he's seeing a silhouette vaguely of the former Chief Justice Maraga, who told him, elections is not an event, it's a process. So I think, first of all, he wants to be counted in the right side of history this time round. Truth to the fact is that these nominations within parties, first of all, they've become a money-minting process. It's a money-minting thing. And I think this is what probably Chebukati is trying to avoid. Now, if you look at the Electoral Act 2011, and this is where I think Chebukati is getting a lot of his muscle. What he's trying to tell people, the paperwork that he returned is telling them, you must follow these procedures. Now, many political parties will tell you, if you listen to them, they will say, well, the bureaucracy in these procedures, they are procedures, and they must be followed. So I think on this one, many people may tend to agree with Chebukati, mainly those that will be running, mainly first-timers, and those that, you know, who are not sure of getting that particular ticket. Because let's face it, you have so many aspirants who may join politics this time around. And I think everybody wants a chance. Everybody wants there to be some element of fairness. But getting the compliance certificate, I don't think it's a hard thing. The hard thing is, once the parties get this compliance certificate, will they play fair? And in comes the registrar of political parties. They must come in and take over that process. Otherwise, What does it matter? You can actually feign, you can write whatever you write, you can put infrastructure to just run, to say that you will be able to run a fair nomination or a fair primary. But once you get the compliance certificate, we've seen it happen in the past, you can continue to do your monkey business. So immediately that happens. I think the registrar of political parties, they should have a very keen eye in that process, and immediately the parties get their certificates of compliancy, they should jump in and ensure that that process goes all the way to the ballot.
Compliance and implementation, a different kettle of fish altogether, right? So you can have all that paper, but now when it comes to reality on the ground, well, that is something else, Ambrose.
Yes, my brother, I really don't think Chebukati is looking at the black letter of the law. Rules, the law that requires free, fair, and transparent nominations. So you can easily tell the parties, please go and ensure that your rules will ensure that you do this. But it is not about rules. The reality on the ground is that there's no political party in Kenya that is capable of conducting free, fair, and transparent nomination. That is structure-wise. Then secondly, the leadership in this party is also no intentions whatsoever to conduct free, fair, and transparent nominations. Let's start from the structure side. For you to conduct free, fair, and transparent party nominations, you must have the basics. One of them is a list of membership, genuine membership. Now, there's no political party with members. They only have, the ones they use with the register of political parties to register are M-Pesa names. They are collected from M-Pesa booklets. And they are put there. They are not genuine. In fact, if you want to know, just walk around here. Walk around this building. You have so many in this media house. Ask, you are a member of which party? And you? And if they are honest, if they are genuine, they'll tell you, I'm a member. Like whether here, I'm a member of Uhuru Party. Somebody will tell you, I'm a member of Raila Party. Another one will tell you, I'm a member of Ruto Party. What does it mean?
Party has ownership.
If Honorable Raila Odinga moves to UDA, I automatically become UDA. If Ruto moves back to Jubilee, you automatically become Jubilee. If Honorable Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta moves to ODM, whether moves to ODM, there is no need for political party registration. That's how it works. That's why for now, officially on paper, the deputy president is Jubilee. Actual, in reality, in life, the deputy president is UDA. You understand this? So if you are going to conduct free, fair nominations, you must use booklets and documents. You must say, now come, you want to vote here, we take your name. They don't have it.
So from your own assessment, you think this is just an exercise in futility?
It is to be right in terms of the law and regulations. But in reality, there is no such intention. There is no such intention to conduct free, fair, and transparent party nomination. Even if they wanted to, they would not be able, because some of these parties, they don't have membership even across the country.
So, Gabriel, what effective remedial measures that we can come up with to try and plug this particular, because yes, as it is, there is a lacuna. Yeah, between, yes, you have the good laws, but the implementation is dramatically different on the ground as well. So who should actually take the onus to push this particular envelope so that...
You know, the party leadership, honestly, Debal, and that's why I told you, I think what Chebukati is trying really to try and see whether he can put any element of sense in is making sure that political parties do not become what they have been in the past. And most of them have just been money minting. You know, you can put in money to become, I mean, all aspirants, they pay some sort of money. And some of these seats, like that of the, you know, of the governor, goes all the way to 1 million shillings. So you can imagine you put in your money, but you're not, you do not know for sure whether that process within the party, the primaries, you don't know for sure whether it will be free and fair or even transparent. Most of them will come out, and we've seen them on TV. Party leaders will come and say, we will ensure that we have transparent, free and fair. So who or where does the buck stop with? It's actually the party leadership. I believe, Bwana Wakili, I honestly believe if the leadership of a particular party would want to cross the Rubicon and say money does not matter, but what matters is the exercise itself, to be above board. I honestly believe, Debal, we can make it happen. It all rises and falls on party leadership. If party leaders will say, we will ensure that we have free and fair and transparent grassroots elections, they will indeed happen. Because what is needed is structures. Honest and trustworthy structures. They'll bring about an honest process. It has happened in various parties. I know some parties have really tried and they were able to do it. And others really, they don't, like Wakili is saying, they don't even try. And this is why you just do all the paperwork and you are seen to have, mastered the regulation and you get your compliance certificate. But then what? You go back to shambolic primaries. And by the way, do you know most of the skirmishes that we see, Debal, they actually start from nominations. And that's why you see everybody puffing and panting that once you don't get this certificate, you're ready to jump to another party. And eventually that doesn't happen, you go independent. Do you know how much a candidate would have lost if you were to start hoping, in that particular kind of direction? And by the way, we have seen sometimes people who miss on a party nomination, they go independent and they win. You cannot actually explain that equation.
Yeah, that's where we had the budgeting numbers of independents in the last, general election as well.
I think let's be fair to political parties. Let's be very fair to them. There is no political party which has the muscles to conduct free, fair, transparent nominations. None. Take simple data, simple arithmetic. How much does IEBC spend in a general election? If you take that figure, then remember, party that also wants to do a free, fair, transparent nomination would require a percentage of that money. Leave alone 100 million shillings paid by governors. Just allow me to finish. Leave alone these small monies. They need this infrastructure like the one IBC has. They need the money. They need the personnel. They do not have it. We will only reach there when, as a country, we legislate that political parties' nomination process will be conducted by the IBC, funded by the exchequer. That is the only time this will be possible. Otherwise, for now, even the biggest ruling party like Jubilee, they didn't have the infrastructure. You only have it in their stronghold, but in their across country, no, there's no money to do that. Just look at what IBC uses for an election. A political party, even if you give him 30% of that, even if they needed only 30%, that's still a lot of money for a single political party. So let's be fair to them. The way they gaggle those things, they do it and somehow they look at Muduma here and they don't like his face.
So what really happens then to the 0.3% that we get from the political parties' fund from the exchequer?
First of all, what they get, just a minute, what they get is after. You do elections, you understand? Then they count the votes, then they give you. And even that, they don't give to all the political parties who participate. They say you have to get a threshold, meaning you have to have money first. You have to present candidates first. You must do elections first before you get something. Otherwise, the political parties depend on what they charge the candidates. That is peanuts. That's little when it comes to elections. Remember, even if you are going to run for governor, they didn't even distinguish between the governor of Kwale or governor of or Vihiga. That's one of the smallest counties. They didn't compare that to the governor of Nairobi. They still said, if you want to run for governor alone, 4 billion, one county. So if things are running in billions, what a big political party collects, like Jubilee or ODM, from party nomination fees, it does not reach $1 billion. And then it has to do all the work. It cannot conduct, just let me finish, it cannot conduct free, fair, transparent nominations. If we really want it as a nation, as a country, knowing very well that some places where you get a party ticket, you already be as good as elected, we must decide that the political parties' nominations will be conducted by IEBC at least 6 months before elections, funded by the exchequer. in an appropriation directed by Parliament. We need a law that deals with that. Otherwise, the rest, we're just crying, just for PR purposes, platitudes.
How then do we put a gridlock on so many political parties that will really be gagging for that particular money? Because everyone, you can see mushrooming. 89 political parties are coming to the fore.
First of all, Debal, I do not see an environment where IBC would conduct political party primaries 6 months before to an election. It just can't happen. I mean, do you know how many court?
I didn't say that.
Do you know how many court?
A likely scenario.
Yeah. Do you know how many court cases will be out there? And I think this is what Chebukati is trying to avoid, if you ask me. You know, so that at least the environment, this electoral environment is a little bit cleaner. Now, where things get hazy, and this is why I'm saying, if any political party, Debal, if they have honesty and goodwill, parties can conduct transparent and honest primaries. I believe that wholeheartedly. Tell you what, look at a country, even though I'm talking about a general election, look at a country like the Gambia. They removed a dictator called Yahya Jammeh. A very simple process of counting marbles. The Gambia. And Adama Barrow became president. Because there was goodwill. This thing can be done. People do change.
Political parties.
I know. But
talking of goodwill and political parties, they don't want any goodwill within the
That's what I'm saying. Because of what I told you earlier, Debal, most of these people want to use their political parties as what? As money minting parties. And he said it right. I mean, you can open a party and do all these crazy shenanigans, you know, and rob people money, seriously rob people money. But I like the 2011, this electoral policy that we are talking about. And you will find, yes, many political parties, I told you at the beginning, they actually look at that process as very bureaucratic. But it's purely procedural. It is purely procedural. And you know, I think on this one, Bwana Chebukati just wants to wash his hands, because if it ever goes to the Supreme Court and the process is actually pointed at, like what I'm probably saying, and I would agree with him, he will say, hey, I did my work.
There is no way then the political parties will become vehicles of representative democracy in this country.
There will come a time. We have just had a few years of multi-party democracy.
True.
And the leadership we have had have specialized in hoping. In fact, it is like, by design, they do not go back for elections using the same vehicles.
That's true.
You understand? Even us who are in TNA and UDA in 2013, 4 years down the road, those who are bundled out, and we came up with Jubilee. Now Jubilee is bundled out, and so on and so forth. The other side, they came up with NASA. Earlier on, it was CORD. So it is a deliberate design to ensure that the parties do not grow. The parties, the structures are not put. Even now, they are the ones who have said, look, we want a formal structure through which our parties can conduct nominations. Yes. Goodwill, as my brother Mudama is talking about, remains emotions unless you back it up with structure. There are some wishes, but if wishes were horses, beggars would ride. You must have the horses. And you must train the beggars to mount the horses. So for now, any party will say, oh, we would love, we want free, fair, transparent nomination. ODM is the oldest party. Jubilee is ruling party. You ask them, can we have a list of your party membership? Your members in Kisumu, your members in Gatundu South, how many are there? Can we download that register? It is not there. So how are you going to conduct? What I will do is, if I want to win, I will get my cousins and brothers from Kibera and Kariobangi, and they nominate me in Gatundu as Jubilee candidate. I have one, because they have no membership register. Eventually, without that, I will be nominated in Gatundu, Jubilee, then I lose, because they say this is fraud. You have seen even our own electoral system where we fund the IBC.
Yeah.
We have registers. We are now registering voters. We are cleaning the registers. We are still doing so. there is still some element of cheating here
That's
and
true.
there. What about a political party where even the leaders, they are promised, some of them are promised their girlfriends, boyfriends, cousins, relatives, party funders, donors, that the ticket will be given to your cousin in exchange for some donations. So they also don't want it. They don't want that free, fair, transparent nomination in certain places.
Let me latch on what you were saying, because you said that some of these political parties, what they're doing right now, it's a matter of making sure that there is no growth, and that is deliberate.
Yes.
But I tend to disagree a bit, because I think this is all about fighting for survival, political expediency, where you're looking at the crystal ball and you're saying there's no way we're going to make it, maybe without a coalition.
Correct.
Maybe without a new formation, maybe without rebranding the party, as it were. So the question is, do you think even these particular coalitions and the formations that we're having right now, in any way, they are shortchanging the multi-party democracy era that we are living in? Because where is my voice in the coalition? Where is my voice in the merger?
Yes.
As a member of party so and so, party X and X, because I subscribe to this particular party's ideology, but now they're merging, and out of the equation, they're entering into a coalition.
My brother, let me tell you, it is not expediency how they'll win. No. The same coalition that won the elections in 2013 remained the same coalition in 2017. All they did was to change names and shirts so that Wanjiku is confused. Wanjiku is the one getting confused. It's the same people. They'll come as NASA, but the other day they came as CORD. They are the same people. The key is to confuse Wanjiku, and they say, we are now new. We are now singing Uhuru Tena, Tano Tena, but we are different. They are not different. We have not reached the stage where we are saying we are going to build democracies based on party structures, based on free, fair, transparent elections and nominations and party membership. Remember, have you ever heard ODM doing a party recruitment drive? What about Jubilee? Now UDA is very strong, but who are his members? They don't even have party card membership. ANC, very strong, Honorable Musalem Mudavadi, wants to be president. Have you seen them recruiting members? Remember the KANU days. There were times Baba Moi Mutukufu would decide this month the KANU recruitment drive. And there will be cards all over in the markets, in the village. Yeah. And Paka,
the Jogo.
Have you seen these big parties that have one seat having those seats? Have you seen? They don't.
No, but there was
because they deliberately do not want that. We want a situation where, if elections are about, we just say, Mudoma, I think if we combine, come quickly. You are now a member.
But you see, I mean, Weda has said actually something which is quite pertinent. You see, when I look at how Jubilee started, they started on a very good tangent. Jubilee had the red cards, Jubilee, they had numbers, and all fine, looking good. And at some point, I thought this is what we need in this country. If we are going to grow party democracy, you need these big parties, Jubilee on one end and NASA on the other end, to have just giant parties, just like you have in great democracies, like in the United States, where you have probably the Green Party is a little bit kidogo, but you have the Democrats and the Republicans. And I thought this is where it was heading. Jubilee had put actually structures to visit. They visited the ANC, you remember, and they went all the way to China to visit the Communist Party of China to see how these parties are run. And I thought, man, if these two great coalitions can build up not only on their membership, but also their internal democracies, I think probably we can cross this dilemma of having a new party or having a new coalition after every 5 years. So, it did not go that way, but I don't think I will lose hope. Debal, I think somewhere along the way, I think, even if it's not me and Weda, probably if we teach our young voters the value of honesty, the value of being responsible, the value of allowing fair play, I think they may prove as wrong. Like I said, it may not be me and him, not this generation, but probably our young voters may actually live out the true meaning of what great parties or coalitions can become. And I hope they are able to succeed in doing that. Because really, like he has said, we've mastered it. This is just a vehicle that lasts only one general election. And I don't think we can really build a fervent democracy if we go by that.
Thank you. Just search me a second, because we want also to just put this maybe into perspective with a very good example as well. And I want you to tell me, does he stand a chance? Has he jumped the gun, as it were? And we're talking about Westlands MP Tim Wanyonyi, who today launched his, of course, gubernatorial bid running for the Nairobi County. We just want to listen into what he had to say, and then we will analyze and say, yes, has he jumped the gun, or will he continue making inroads?
Require, and I will fix it. Tuchape, tuchangamuke, tubadilishe. This is how I'll work and fix it. I will invest heavily in the establishment of ICT infrastructure within the county to solve the city's perennial service delivery challenges and avail free internet, Wi-Fi in designated public spaces to assist youth, entrepreneurs, and other residents within the city. I will put in place bold mechanisms to fight corruption by enforcing all the bylaws that have been passed to prevent corruption, legislating more and better ones to seal loopholes and more towards cashless system.
This is not a man, a cosmetic man, that is putting on things to be able to blind you so that you choose him.
Hapa ni Nairobi. Wewe usiangalie ati wale waduya wako kule Westlands ufikiria ati hao ni watu wa kuingizwa kwa mkokoteni ile mnaita chama ya nyumbani. Waluya wa Nairobi ni waluya wa ODM na wanaongozwa na kiongozi wao Mheshimiwa Raila Amolo Odinga.
Right, back to this particular table. The question is, do you think he's jumped the gun? Should he have waited maybe for the NDC meeting, the conference itself, where we're expecting also the Jubilee to make their own pronouncement, put their parties, ducks in a row? There's also the ODM Jubilee merger as well, and this also will bring very different dynamics, especially for the nominations.
Now, I think, thank you. First of all, Tim Wanyonyi is one of the best performing members of parliament in this country in terms of delivery at the constituency level, contributions in parliament. He was a fellow who was put on wheelchair through a bullet of these marauding thugs. But he has overcome that. He has shown that even if you are on a wheelchair, you can deliver if you choose to do so. He is a clear-minded person, and he has demonstrated ability. So that if we were to be looking for somebody who can run the city in a rational, organized, and visioned way, he would stand a very good chance. But politics is politics. So, having been MP for Westlands for 10 years, I think 10 or 15, there comes a time, as the late Saitoti say, when the nation is bigger than an individual. You don't turn a political seat into employment. Your pension fund, you don't want to leave. You grow, You decide, I've done well here, I've been here
Correct.
2 or 3 times, it is time to leave.
I agree.
Let me put myself into the ring. There are only 2 ways if you contest elections. You win or you lose. It is a decision that requires brave people with vision. So anybody saying, has he jumped the gun? Somebody saying, you should have turned Westland as a pension fund for you. You cling there, you cling even now when you have become moribund, you cling. I think it is good for him to put his head into the ring. He throw his hat into the ring, declare to run, and if he wins, he wins. If he doesn't win, he doesn't win. He is a lawyer, he will move on.
That's true.
But it's good. If I had my vote here, I would give him because he is good. So it is not too early, it is not too late. Life does not revolve around Jubilee or ODM. Life does not revolve around Raila Odinga or Uhuru or Muduma here. Life revolves around Jehovah God himself. And if he has given you strength to lead Westlands on a wheelchair, you can lead this. If the political party bigwigs decide is the wrong guy and Wanjiku follows them, so be it. You go to something else. So I think to me it's the right time. He has made his plan, it's good. If Jubilee do not like him, too bad. If ODM says, oh, too bad, he'll do something else. That's how some of us, that's how me run life. I say, as long as I have Jehovah, the King of Kings,
you're good to go.
I'm good to go. You tell me whether it's good, I say hallelujah. You say you are so bad, I say God says I'm wonderfully and fearfully made. So please, let us go.
No, I think Weda has actually, I think Weda has actually talked quite about the character of Honorable Tim Wanyonyi. And to be honest, I think he's done really well being the MP for Westlands. And like he said, he's also served, I think, within the halls of City Hall. And he knows quite a number of things, probably even how to arrange or what needs immediate attention. So on this one, I give him this, given the fact that he has actually proved himself, not only as somebody who has disability, but one who really has clear goals and what he's been able to achieve in Westlands. Given that you still have Vitongoji Duni in Westlands, but he has really done well. Coming to him bolting to set up the structures for running as a gubernatorial candidate in Nairobi, I think there can never be the right time. I think at this point, given the fact that we know when elections will be, I think it is good that he has actually started his campaign. He has put his candidature on the line, and I think, with the grace of God, I think we wish him well. He is a great candidate. Every time you find such great, they are very rare to find. I always equate him with the late Ken Okoth. Another brilliant mind, may God rest his soul. He just took Kibra, and before you could say cut and a half, schools were being made. People could see the kind of vision that he had for a place like Kibra. And I think there's a kind of personality I also see with somebody like Tim Wanyonyi. So I think I can't say he has bolted early. And I mean, what would he be waiting for? You're saying mergers between Jubilee and OD. Who knows the future in politics? What if it does not? It never happens. If anybody coming in, I think he's already bought his front row seat to say, whoever comes in, if any of you, this party, if you want to give me somebody to be my running mate, karibuni sana. But as for now, I am following my conviction, and my conviction is to be the next governor of this great city of Nairobi. We wish him well.
Well, conviction or not, I think at the end of the day is also the money on the table on who's going to get this particular nomination. You might be having the sincerity of
that's a good one. Yeah, nomination.
In life, you must learn to bite the bullet. In fact, the higher the risk, the better the offers. It's also a good way of retiring from constituency politics. How do you retire? You say, I'm running for a different seat, a bigger seat. You just don't say I retire, because it is good, it is prestigious to be a member of parliament. But the cost, not even in terms of money, in terms of privacy, in terms of all these things. I've run for parliamentary elections. People come very early. By 4 a.m. they have come, and they say, wake him up. A good leader should not be asleep by that time. And they concoct lies, and they tell you, if you greet somebody, instead of just seeing it as a genuine greeting, they say you greet because you want votes. If you do what? So sometimes it could also be a way. But I think we will reach a time when we look for good presidents, You don't have to look far from people like Wanyonyi.
No.
If you look for good managers of this city, you don't look far from it. But we also may want ngurokos like us, people who have their own thrones, they carry their own thrones, and they have their own uniform, and they prepare their own army. Then they come and they salute themselves. We love those jokers. So in such a city, what do? I think the best Wanyonyi can do is to offer himself and say, I'm available to do this job, but the choice is yours. If you say no, I do something else. I go back to legal practice, my brother. Otherwise, this Wanjiku, some of them, they also want jokers. They want sick people to lead them. You saw Nairobi. We elected, the highest votes went to General Lieutenant Field Marshal Mike Mbuvi Sonko. And he had his own throne. No throne. And his own uniform. And he was saluting himself. At one time, he even blocked the presidential motorcade. He would put paths across highways here on Mombasa Road for people to walk across. You just say, hallelujah, oh God. Can you calm down quickly? Jesus, calm down quickly so that we may all go to heaven and get out of this madness. But if we want to lead, you have seen this army man. The work he has done in such a short period.
Agree.
Shows you that yote yawezekana kwa imani, but with work. Depending on the leaders. Where I come from, if you want to know whether fish is good, you don't check the tail. The tail can be rotten. But when you check the head and it is good, you say, hallelujah, good to eat. But if you check the head and it is rotten,
everything else.
So leadership counts. I think the guy is good. If they don't elect him, too bad. They'll have to blame themselves. The Nairobians will have to blame themselves.
All right. Still to the person that you're talking about, maybe we gravitate the conversation even deeper now from the political parties to what he is actually seeking right now. Can they restore this bromance that we had between Uhuru Kenyatta and Deputy President William Ruto? Because as I mentioned earlier, we have Sonko who have joined hands together with Bishop Donald Kisaka Mwawasi, petitioning the court to force the Attorney General Paul Kihara to mend Uhuru and Ruto's broken relationship ahead of a general election. Of course, we want to look at this particular development. You mentioned the Rubicon.
Right.
Has this relationship crossed the Rubicon, as it were? Is there hope for restoration? We've seen Ole Sapit, Archbishop Ole Sapit, here coming to the fore and saying, yeah, I am willing also to make sure that we have a mediation and restore this particular relationship. We see the clergy coming to the fore. The church is coming to the fore as well to make sure that this relationship is mended. Is it mendable? Is it redeemable?
I think it is. And, you know, I don't count the church out in this mediation.
You don't think we're stuck for time?
I don't think so. I don't think. And the reason why I'm saying this, Dibal, is in politics, some of the things we think are impossible are really not impossible. Who would have said there are two leaders, President Uhuru currently and his deputy, would even shake hands, leave alone talking. But it happened. They came together and they were able actually to build government. So an impossibility became possible. So I don't count anything out in politics. What I found a little bit funny is the entrance of one Mike Mbuvi Sonko. I don't know much about Bishop Donald, but what would Sonko teach? What would Sonko really tell them? What kind of peace initiative did he put up between him and his deputy governor, Igave? Did he try to salvage that process? Look at how he ran City Hall. He actually ran it like his home. I understand, it cannot be proven, but I've heard people saying the CECs, some of the CECs used to get monthly contracts. So what kind, I mean, I'm trying to imagine, since I heard that he would want to join in the peace process, what kind of initiative would he be bringing to the table? Maybe recording people with his phone, probably that he can do. I don't see any other part that he can play. If it's anything to do with mediation, Debal, this is a serious issue, leave it to serious people. And on that one, Sonko doesn't count. So if it's the church, let them try. And by the way, I don't see how you can use the Attorney General, really. This, to me, is something that started politically. You can bring people who know how to, probably where this all began. And that's why I would kind of bend on the church. And hoping that the two individuals, and here you're talking about His Excellency the President and his Deputy President, they would be, kind enough to listen to the people coming in to mediate. They will give them space. If that doesn't happen, not that we wouldn't like to see it. I mean, it's good that we go towards the election with everybody being at ease with one another, everybody being okay. Don't forget in Mombasa, when the president was asked by one of the journalists, it was that between you and your deputy, what happened? And what did he say? He said, he didn't know. So, meaning probably there's not that bad blood as people may want it to be. It is something which can actually be savaged. Me and you have to wait and see, but I know I do not count any political process out of the stage, because it has happened once, the ball, it can sure happen again.
Right. Amos 3:3. Yeah, two cannot work together unless they agree.
Let me give you a three-pronged answer. Number one, Sonko has gone to court. Please, let's get this thing. That is jamming the court for no reason, wasting public resources on non-issues. Why do I say so? Going to court requires something called justiciability. Is it justiciable? The relationship between the president and his deputy is not a justiciable issue. It is like we say, do you like your workmate? Does he like you? Do you like him? Then whether you like him or he doesn't like you, can you take it to court and say, the way the boss looks at me, I think there should be a court order compelling him to like me.
So the whole petition is wrong-headed from the beginning.
It is not justiciable. There must be justiciability of an issue before it is taken to court. Otherwise, it's a waste of court time. Let me give you a historical example. There was a man, a colleague and a brother called Dola Idindis. He used to be court PR person. He's a lawyer. He one time filed a case.
The ICC, I remember.
About Jesus, that Jesus was mistreated. And he wants that file to be opened. Pilate did not give Jesus a free fare.
At the ICC.
Yes. Now, he first of all filed it here before Justice and watch. Under certificate of agency. He was told, who are you going to serve? and it was told, some of us told, this is not justiciable. Justice Alod very quickly dismissed it. Then he went to ICC. That's exactly what Sonko is doing. Then secondly...
But he had a very valid point. Yeah? I think we even had a conversation with another theologians on that particular matter. Yes.
I have told you the legal term justiciability.
I hear you.
Things you take to court. I've even given you what my brother Dola Idindis did. Secondly, even if these people were to sit and reconcile, you don't force somebody's employee to force the boss. I don't think we can get an order to force you to tell your boss to reconcile with his wife or husband. Can we?
No.
So you can't tell President Uhuru's employee, AG, that go AG now is telling President Uhuru, please sit down. We have seen the way you are with your deputy. Sit down. There's a court order.
Can't happen.
Surely, let's not bring those jokes. Let us not introduce jokes onto serious issues.
Correct.
I think my brother's Mike Mbovi Sonko wants attention and relevance after misbehaving himself, excluding himself out of City Hall. Now he thinks he wants relevance so that he can run or he can be given something so that he becomes whatever. Let us not bog down our judges. We have so many useful cases to be handled, dealt with, and finished. Number two, what is so urgent about the deputy president and the president reconciling? What's so urgent about it? As a country, we must do our things in order of priority. Which one? The last we knew, we just see them throwing banters and barbs at each other. When the last time I said, when he said, we will not allow a thief to succeed me. Muduma was saying, oh, this must be governors, whatever. And I told you, Muduma, who is this MCA or governor? Who is capable, if elected, can wipe out the Kibaki legacy and the Uhuru legacy? MCA of where? Governor of where? So we just see these things, but officially on record, there is no much material where you can say these people disagreed. They just woke up one day and they started being a part of each other, like that. But now, what is our priority? Kenyans will be talking about the cost of oil, the cost of fuel, food, jobs, health care. So if you tell them, in this avalanche of issues and problems, which one do we deal with? Do we miss our sleep because the president did not greet the deputy? Do we miss our medicine because the president said somebody should not be elected? Let us get it. So it is not a priority for now. Even our religious leaders, we urge them to pray for us so that we can arrest corruption. We can have good security. We can have enough food so that we eat 3 times in a day. Ugali at lunchtime and in the evening, and some tea and samaki.
So the efforts,
not this madondo that we are eating 4 times.
So the efforts from the church also should
it's not necessary.
It's not necessary.
For now, it is not necessary. Let us focus our attention on major issues. The president and the deputy, when they consider it necessary, they'll just announce a handshake. There's nobody who went between the president and Raila.
That's true.
Nobody. They just woke up one day in front of a ramp house. They say, now we have a handshake. We say, what is this? Say, yes. We have a handshake, my brother.
No, but the church did. The church actually pushed. No. The church did. Right after the elections, they said, you know what, for Kenya, for there to be count, try and talk to one another. Be cordial, try and reach out to the other end, which is
we are talking about the handshake.
No, yes. So even before, I think the church
that handshake
Wakili tried.
Will be done. I'm not saying the church didn't play around. Even pray, I have prayed and fasted.
And I also think the church has a role.
And his deputy to live peacefully.
They may not achieve. They may not probably achieve what they want, but you know, Weda and his guys, they have a role to play in just ensuring that there's some cordial environment.
What I'm saying is this: if the president today calls his deputy and says, tomorrow we now have a handshake.
Yes, he'll come running.
It will be all over.
Yeah. And
so all they need to do is to call one another. How they disagreed, we don't want to know.
Correct.
Now we are busy looking for jobs for our children, our cousins, our brothers. We are crying about cost of electricity.
So from your own assessment, you think whether they agree or they don't agree with, whether there is a happy medium, it won't make any discernible difference?
Well, apart from their people, because both of them have a serious and a crazy following. And when I say, you know, a near crazy following, is that you have people who look up to them fervently. This is my leader. And even for Honorable William Ruto, he has his people. So I think at some point, they must find some element of convergence where they must talk. Remember, there are areas where these two communities actually live door to door. So I think from where probably the church may be concerned is if they don't speak to, is it going to lead to something else? Hoping it doesn't, because I believe at the end of the day, you know, that peace realm will actually supersede what we are seeing. And by the way, Debal, I don't think it is that bad because things are still happening. I mean, if you look at the development, things are happening. The roads are coming up, things are getting made, you know, things are happening.
The country is moving on.
Yes, I can't really say that there's anything that's breaking at this point, but it's just good. And that's why I think the church thinks, or not that they think, it's actually they have a responsibility to try as much as possible to ensure that the environment is peaceful. I think it goes back to 2007 where the church came out, you remember, Canon Karanja coming out and actually asking for forgiveness, you remember, and saying the church had failed the country. So I think they don't want to repeat what they saw in 2007. And I think that's why they are banning the midnight oil. Just asking, is there anything we can do? But whether is right. If the two great gentlemen are not in any hurry then I think there's very little the church can do.
Right. So they don't, the church doesn't want to be the fly on the wall. Right. Let's just hark back also to this week, to what was happening, of course, with the barnstorming and the whistle stops. Everyone now is really going machinani, trying to make sure they secure the numbers as well. And look at what was happening in Ukambani. Interesting editorial cartoons also we do have with Kalonzo Musyoka there, and Raila Odinga and Deputy President William Ruto. If my director or Kelly just may put up those cartoons so that we can try and interrogate some of his cartoons. But from my own assessment, right now it seems, yes, everything as a, there you go. We can see Kifula Kibwana there, and Kalonzo resting easy, yeah, on that particular bed, carried by William Ruto. I don't know if this hand is joined with Deputy President William Ruto there. And Raila now is also coming in. This is the Wipers' bedroom.
Can you interpret that caricature? Are you able to interpret
that?
I don't know. I'm trying to... Are they trying to move the bed or what? I can see Charity.
The bed is moving away, yeah?
And then there's somebody... There's
a Charity Gilu there. There is also, I think that's Alfred Mutua.
Yeah, that's yes. Alfred Mutua. This is hard to... This is very hard to interpret. It's very hard to decipher, actually.
This is the Wipers' bedroom now. There's a commotion. Yeah, they're invading the Wipers' bedroom.
Well, there's a picture portrayed here. There's a narrative portrayed here.
You call the person who do it to
But
this goes... they are moving the bed somewhere.
I think also when we're talking about political parties and the balkanization, right, within regions, that we have sort of regions dictators, that this is my fort, this is my bedroom. How then do we uncouple ourselves as a country? Because we know Western Kenya, this is the Ford formation, or this is the ODM formation. When we come to, you know, the Drift Valley, Mount Kenya, this is a Jubilee formation. Right. This is a PNU formation. How then, as a country, if we want to have, you know, sort of a stabilizing figure as a party, that we know this is the Democrats, yeah, and these are the Liberals, this is the Republicans, so to speak. Do we foresee, because I think this is where now we're really talking, right, that you're coming to my zone, I am the one who's holding the key to the Ukambani vote. And even heard what Deputy President William Ruto said the other day, that if you want to come to Mount Kenya, you have to pass through me, right? This is the miracle, the election miracle. And you can see everyone slippery slope there trying to climb the Mount Kenya, but him is, it's a walk on the path there. Yeah, a miracle. Walking.
Everybody is looking to float.
Everyone is here.
Everybody wants to float.
Whether.
Yes. I don't know whether we are talking about the cartoon or we are talking about...
No.
Yeah, about the political balkanization of the country. That is the way of politics from the statistics we have. Not only in Kenya. Anytime you want to look at politics in a wider sense, you look at the bigger democracies, and the one we look at is America. Not only divided among Democrats and,
yes,
and Republicans, but it's also divided among blacks and whites and Hispanics and Latinos and all these things, and the right and the wrong, the LGBT and the BBBC and all these things. There is always formation based on some level of division. Look at the best America, then you look at the worst Somali. One tribe, one religion, one language. Yet they are so divided they can't sit down on the table and talk. It is a lot easier for a Luo to talk to a Kikuyu than the Somali themselves speaking the same language to sit on a table. And for years after Siad Barre left, they can't sit down and agree on things. So there's always a level of a division. Even when you go home, children of the same mother, you find where, oh, this one is loved by mommy more than this one. That's a line of division. This one has more money than this one. And the worst level is always economic decision. For now, we are at a stage where those who are going to Mount Kenya or those who are going to Ukambani, they also have their bedrooms. You go to Kondele, you will meet stones. Not because you have done anything wrong, but because you are going to somebody's bedroom. So we are praying and wishing a day will come, but it has not come. And there is nothing wrong with the bedroom in Ukambani being either Kalonzo's or these other people. And these bedrooms, you get them by fighting. Take, for instance, Honorable Raila. He didn't just wake up one day and there was the Luo kingpin. There was Orengo, there was Nyong'o, there was the late Umamuga. After Jaramogi died, the most favorite, the one we loved the most, was called Honorable Orengo. The most brilliant, the most respected, Honorable Nyong'o. Raila was taken as very rough, violent. But while these people were down here in the good saloons making hairstyles and so on, Raila was in the villages drinking and attending funerals. We then just loved him and put the other side. That has happened. You go to Mount Kenya, President Uhuru emerged. And then they followed him. You go to Kabani, Kalonzo has been there. And if you want to take over from him, you have to depose him. You have to depose him. Even us, we have to depose Raila. So that you emerge, leaders emerge, and you start emerging at home. So there is nothing wrong with these kingpins. There's no reason to go under the cross to pray, oh, may we just have whatever. What is there is, are we supporting the right leaders who mean well for all of us? But I've come to realize, you start from somewhere. Where? Home.
You see, Debal, my problem with this thing that Weda calls kingpins, I've always had a problem with it. It may be our reality, yes. But most of the time I go back to independence. Pre-independence, we were together because we were fighting a common threat. We were dying to get our independence, to be our own masters, self-governance and what have you. Immediately we got that. No sooner had that happened than we became what we are today. So that just goes on to tell you we've never gotten it right, and we must get it right as a matter of supreme urgency. Have you realized that we always come up to these regional kingpins every time we come near an electioneering year? And the problem is, the problem I have, before I actually negate what he said about America, is most of the time we are so geared to these regions that our productivity is affected. And that's why you come all the way to an election. 2 years after an election, we are doing zero. A year to an election, it is zero. Now let me tell you the major difference between us and this great democracy you call America. Even as Trump was leaving office, he didn't show up for inauguration, but the next day, America continued. Boeing was selling aircrafts. Ford was selling vehicles. iPhones were being sold world over. It is a production machine that continues, whether their politics is right or wrong. So there's no comparison between this giant called America and us. We do this kingpin nonsense every election after election. People are throwing stones and what have you. Everything, it's a standstill. One moves aside, don't buy from these people, don't buy from that community. Guess what? Our production is affected. Kenya comes to a standstill. Our economy is shrugged back down. So there is no reason as to why we should not rise up through this nonsense. And that's why, Debal, I think, that's why I told you, I am praying that our younger voters are edified enough to know that they actually can cross that river we have failed to cross for far, far too long. I liked it when all of us were a community fighting a common threat. We need to find these common threats that are present with us clear today. The first one is what everybody's talking about, climate change. We must fight it as a community called Kenya. Hunger, we must fight it as a community called Kenya.
Thank you.
Health is a matter that's affecting everyone. Education is something that these are our common enemies that we must fight as a nation, not as communities.
Thank you, thank you. We are pinched for time, yes. And I just wanted to pick up also a conversation that I think this week will be big as well. As we know, the chief provocateur is en route to Kenya. I think yes. By now he's in Berlin. Right now, this is Miguna. I want just Okete to put up that particular editorial cartoon that we can weigh in on that as well. Here he says that, he is on red alert, but the courts are denying this, right? They're saying we have nothing like red alert because we've not really adduced any evidence that there was a red alert, right?
Yeah, I think the lawyer did not demonstrate that there is a red alert. But there's evidence that there was a red alert.
There's evidence?
There is, written and available. I think it's only the lawyer who didn't give it to the court. And the court doesn't go fishing.
So this will be thrown out on a technicality?
No, if you don't give the court materials. Even if the court is seeing it in the street, he will not say, I saw it. He'll say, where is it? Then you say it's not on record. Our courts are courts of record. So a judge does not come with things from his house or her house. You say, okay, you have presented this evidence.
Yes.
Even if you say you are married, you say we are married. I've been married. And the judge may be your friend. He was there when you are married.
He was your best man, actually.
He was, yes. But when you go to court, he says, you have not shown anywhere you are married. Because how do we show marriage in Kenya? Marriage is a certificate. So that red alert was not available to the court. Second, remember, this thing is politics also. It's not just about traveling. You understand? My brother, Megona, has also the Canadian passport. If it was just about coming to Kenya, he would come. He would come to DRC and then walk by bus. And by the time we are talking, he's announcing in Kano, Kuchogo, Aero, I am here. Despot Uhuru, I'm here. And then we'll go and arrest him for insulting our president and insulting Baba. I always say, I really want Meguna to come back. He's our brother. It looks bad that he's outside. And I'm looking forward when he comes to say, there are two things he's done that I would tell him in the face and tell my brother, never do that. Never do that. Never do that. And that is insulting
the president,
Mamangina Kenyatta, insulting Ido Dinga, and insulting the president's wife. You cannot go there.
That's true.
You cannot, especially the mother of the nation as Mamangina Kenyatta.
I agree.
A great, gracious, wonderful lady like Ida Odinga. Surely, that is the only part I would say, my brother, never do that. Apologize to these ladies. Kutana na baba mtuangane, the way you got each other. Even the lady was not there. Mamangina was not there. Ida was not there when they met in Canada. Now, when they disagree, the ladies are not, these are our mothers, these are our grandmothers. That is the part. But he needs to come back and explain a few things. And then we also don't look bad. The only other thing I want you to understand, my brother, when there are elections, it's only in 2007 and COVID when the country came to a standstill. These are the times we do our elections and things go on. The schools are open, the churches, we worship Jehovah. All the road people are running.
You may not know, but our economy is always up.
It's always there.
On Bugunabuda, very quickly, I think on the red list, I don't know how it works, but if there's a red list as we speak, I don't think he will be allowed flight to Nairobi. For some reason, I don't think that will happen. We are waiting to see, but I don't think he will be allowed flight from Europe to Nairobi. If that does indeed happen, and he lands at Jomo Kenyatta, we just have to wait and see how it will go. But one thing I'll agree with Weda very quickly, I think at some point, yes, there is so much freedom, so much democracy in this country, but you must also measure it. Debal, I don't think my freedom should actually infringe on yours. So I think we need to have a level of tolerance heading to 2022. And this is not just on Miguna alone. Even the people who are waking up to go to other people's campaigns and throw stones, yes. I think that is not something we should be talking about, that's such a vice. We should not be talking about it in this country. And I hope as we move along, people will be tolerant enough. Let any person who is campaigning, whether it is a presidential candidate, a governor, an MP, an NMC, allow them free reign as long as they are not bringing matters that are not peaceful, allow them free reign anywhere in this country.
Fantastic. And that's a very good point to end the show on. I think, yes, please.
I want to appeal to our fellow parents and our children. Please, when your children come for half-term, Friday next week, please talk to them, counsel them, pray with them, bless them, and tell them to stop banning the things we've done. I went to my alma mater, Olembo, and I found the hall I had built, a lot of money from friends, it had been raised out the children. I am saying, pray with our children, bless them. And you young boys and girls, yes, please stop this banning. Anytime you ban, it will be on your head throughout.
Do you remember if you have what
express yourself?
During our time, you come to your father and tell him you've banned a school.
He said you are cursed.
Yours has not been raised. Yours has not been raised. I think we are just waiting for the other shoe to fall. At the end of the day.
Hopefully not.
Thank you very much. Always a treat, of course, listening to you. Thank you very much, Ambrose Weda and Gabriel Mudogo. We really appreciate your insight this evening. Oh, what a cogent discussion we've had as well, just looking on a light note on what is really happening with the current state of play in the country as well. And that also is a hearty imploration that we're getting from our panelists as well. In light of what is going on in the country, I think sometimes we need to peel back and look deeply. Is it even a spiritual matter, as it were, yeah, that all these schools are getting raised down by our children? There could be a very critical problem that we need to address, that is needing a psychosocial support and prayer as well. Well, think about it. That is a pause giver for you. Thank you for your valued company. My name is Dibala Nea, sitting in for Lindo Gutu tonight on Checkmate. Sleep easy.